And welcome to the Alouettes Flightdeck, podcast dedicated to Montreal Alouettes football. I am Tim Capper. You can find me on Twix at Repact. That's REPPACT.
And I'm Cliffy D. You can also find me on Twix at Cliffy D.
And I also want to remind everybody that this show is presented by our good friends over at SportBuff, where if you use the promo code ALOUETSFlightDeck10 at checkout, you can save 10% off your entire order. So head over to www.sportbuffshop.com. Use the code SAVE 10% on their entire offerings there on the site, and support local.
Yes, if you haven't gotten your Stanley Cup shirt yet, then there's no time like the present, I suppose. Or you can buy CFL stuff, whatever. It's all good. It's all there. It's all there. It's all good. Yes, support local.
Do you think they got Edmonton Oilers Phantom merch on there?
I don't know.
You know what?
I know that some kids in Ghana are about to get their Edmonton Oilers championship shirts. Oops,
Something.
Too soon, Oiler fans. Sorry.
We are coming off of a giant high. You know, much more so than the opening of the 2024 season, because the home opener, Cliff, was just. There was just so much packed into more than 3 hours, because it started obviously when the doors opened up at 6 p.m. over Percival Molson. But there's just so much good stuff packed into this 5-hour period.
It was. I mean, yeah, I think the energy level was at a fever pitch. I'll even say, and knowing full well that this well over 20,000 people are going to be in attendance. I mean, that's great. Anytime you get over 20K for a Alouettes game, absolutely fantastic. And I think a lot of people, it's hard to believe that, okay, maybe are people really that excited to watch a banner be unveiled? Yes, they are, because you know what? Those things aren't so easy to come by. You know, maybe if you're the Toronto Argos and you've got 18 Grey Cup championships, you're like, whatever, banner, no big deal. But for the fact that the Alouettes have not had a Grey Cup banner unveiling since 2011, I should say.
Yeah.
For the 2010 championship banner, it's been a long time. This is a long time coming. So, yeah, I think a lot of fans were very excited to be able to watch this banner be unveiled, and the excitement that comes with it, the flyover that happens, and everything else that goes into the home opener. And, oh, yeah, there was a football game being played, and you know what? If you're an Alouettes fan, you were extremely, extremely entertained this past Thursday.
Exactly. As Cliff mentioned before, I mean, well over 20,000, officially 23,035 fans showed up. That is the new number when it comes to a sellout at Percival Molson, Cliff. That's the largest crowd since the Alouettes that drew just over 23,000 on July 25th, 2013 versus Edmonton. And I tell you, dude, it's just the addition of these extra I would say about 4.5, 5,000 people made a hell of a difference, as you said, with this Alouettes win, man. I mean, the Owls came to play. They are continuing on with their, why did we have to start, in week 3 at home when we're the Grey Cup champs? We're going up against an undefeated team. Okay, that's nice to hear. Dude, the Alouettes just absolutely smashed the Ottawa Red Blacks 47-21, and it was never in doubt. Ever in doubt. Even after the first quarter, it was not in doubt that this team was going to get the victory.
Never mind the first quarter, the first drive. I mean, Ottawa deferred to the second half. Montreal's like, okay, I believe this happened too. I want to say 2022, this happened as well. And I think that was, I want to believe Mario Alford had returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown. I can't remember if it was 2021 or 20. I'm pretty sure it was 2022. But just right off the way, you just set the tone. And that's exactly what Montreal did this past Thursday, was set the tone right away. That very first drive, just attacked, and just drove down the field, and just kept going. And it all culminated with Cody Fajardo. F you, just watch him walk into the end zone untouched. It was absolutely fantastic. And just from there, this offense, which people have been saying all season, like, well, yeah, the defense is absolutely outstanding for the Montreal Alouettes, but how's the offense? Is the offense going to be clicking? Does Cody Fajardo have a prayer? Is he going to, are they going to make some noise on offense? Well, guess what? The Montreal Alouettes made a lot of noise on offense this past Thursday. I mean, just an absolutely outstanding effort from Cody Fajardo and company, just to basically punch Ottawa in the mouth and keep punching and keep punching. And the hits just kept on coming.
And it could have been worse at halftime. I mean, the Alouettes were up 30-1 at halftime. It could have been a lot worse than that. It could easily have been over 30, but still, man, I mean, it's scoring 30 points in a half, man. It's no tall feat for the Alouettes. I mean, it's, last time they did it, scoring 30 by halftime was Thanksgiving Day, actually, in 2010, when they smoked the Calgary Stampeders.
Let's not forget, technically, the Alouettes notched 31 points, and Ottawa got credit for one of them because James Lesher gave up a rouge.
Okay.
So technically, Ottawa didn't score any points in the first half. They were just gifted a point.
Yeah, there you go.
I had to get that out of the way.
I know. And then from there, the second half, as we mentioned also on Flightdeck Live, that the third quarter was not that pretty. It just seemed that they seemed to go in dormant mode really for that, because they really did nothing, and they were outscored. They didn't score. I think it was outscored 11-0. It could have gone another way though, because obviously with the Alouettes stopping the Red Blacks with a Lewis Ward kick going off the upright on a field goal attempt.
Mm-hmm.
But then Mustafa Johnson was called for unsportsmanlike, and it was yeah, he did something to the center he shouldn't have done. And I was finally able to see the play, and I understand why now.
Yeah.
But that change, that kind of spurred Ottawa. They got that touchdown after that, after being given the second chance, and they started to make a game of it. But then the fourth quarter came, and the Alouettes said, no, not this time.
Yeah, aside from Devontae Dedmon returning a touchdown, at that point though, it was too little, too late, and Montreal just woke up and realized, oh crap, we're playing the Ottawa Red Blacks. We cannot lose this game. We cannot lose to Ottawa. We cannot lose in front of these 23,000 fans. We are the beasts of the East. We are the beasts of the CFL. We are the reigning, defending, undisputed Grey Cup champions. Let's get our ass in gear and let's show them what's up. And they did. And the catalyst to all that, besides Cody Fajardo, Reggie White Jr., the returning Reggie White Jr.
Yeah, I mean, him. I mean, there's so many things that we can talk about both offensively and defensively for this game itself, Cliff. But yeah, I really do think that we should, even though Reggie was third when it came to receiving yards for the Owls on Thursday, he still led the team with 2 touchdowns. And what a way for him to come back, man. I mean, more than 600 days since he's played been on the field, I was supposed to say play a meaningful game, but been on the field playing a game, having his family in the stands. You know what? And you and I talked about this last episode, where we're saying what type of click connection will these two guys have? Mm-hmm. Him and Cody. Well, no more questions after one game, was there?
Turns out a pretty good connection is what Cody Fajardo is having with Reggie White Jr. And it was so great. Like that first touchdown, everyone was so excited because as soon as it was like, oh, Reggie got the touchdown. Like that's exciting. That's great because as you talked about, it's been over 600 days since he's been on the field. And for him to score that touchdown, absolutely fantastic. And if it stopped there, that would have been a hell of a night. But wait, there's more. Later on in the fourth quarter, Cody Fajardo once again driving down the field, finds Reggie again. And it was funny because, the ball crossed the plane, broke the plane with Reggie in it, and he was almost pushed out immediately, but he was in there just long enough to get a second touchdown. I mean, 2 touchdowns for Reggie White Jr. after being off for 600 days due to injury. Like, that's absolutely phenomenal. Like, what a story. I mean, that alone would be a story unto itself, but as you alluded to, Yeah, there were so many stories when it came to this offense. There's so many things that had happened that just makes this team look like such a juggernaut.
Yeah, exactly. On that second Reggie White touchdown, that the command center got it right without being challenged. They made the call themselves to double check, and as everybody saw on the replay itself, that ball crossed the line when he caught the ball. So yes, he came away with, he went one better. He went two. So I mean, it was a hell of a game for him. But man, we were talking about other portions of the offense itself, and what is going on, this Canadian connection with these two wide receivers on this team, and the up near the top, both of them within the top 10 in receiving this year. I mean, dude, what can we say specifically about KJG and talking about Tyson Philpott?
I mean, these two simply are on another level, and we've talked about this on numerous occasions with both of these gentlemen, and it's just a matter of opportunity. When's the opportunity going to come? And I called it earlier this year. I said Tyson Philpott is going to go off this year, and sure enough, he has gone off in a big, big way. Keon Julian Grant as well. I mean, back like he never left. That's the thing people forget is this guy missed a lot of last year, like the towards the conclusion of the season due to injury. He was out of the lineup, but he's back. I mean, yeah, Tyler Snead goes down to injury. That's tough. That's it's not so easy to replace somebody like that. That's somebody that gets those, as I talk about, those dirty yards to move the chains.
Mm-hmm.
But Keon Julian Grant, I mean, this guy is just a bona fide playmaker all day long. And he was doing exactly that. He made some jaw-dropping catches just to move the chains, and just absolutely sensational. And Tyson Philpott is truly on another level. Like the fact that these two guys are both national receivers, simply outstanding. There's just no other way to describe watching these two in action. And you throw in the other receivers like Reggie White Jr., Cole Speaker, Charleston Rambo, who, okay, he's kind of cooled off since his hot start at training camp, but you just get the impression that it's going to come for him too. It's just simply a matter of the opportunity, just like it was for Reggie White Jr. We didn't know when he was going to be able to come in and go off. Turned out for him, it was last Thursday. Maybe this Friday against the Toronto Argonauts. That's when we're going to see the Charleston Rambo show. Who knows? But it will happen. It's just simply a matter of when. And Cody knows he's got these guys, and he's also got his running backs that can catch the ball too and move the chains. So I mean, like this offense, a lot of people had questions about it. I think those questions have been answered now, Tim. I think people realize, oh crap, this Alouettes team is for real. It's not a fluke they won the Grey Cup. They weren't just lucky to beat Winnipeg. No, this team is for real.
Yeah. You're talking about Tyson, that, he was basically the first half of the Alouettes. I mean, he had well over 100 yards at halftime. KJG had, I think, 99. And the first drive, less the Cody touchdown, was Tyson. I mean, he went up, off balance, caught the ball in front of the Red Blacks. I think it was that Money Hunter that he was in front of.
I believe it was.
Yeah, and made a spectacular catch.
Yeah.
It's now, if I'm not mistaken, and I think you commented, you just asked him, I think, a couple of things post game when we were able to talk with some of the fans afterwards. What were you able to find out from Tyson from post game on when we were talking to him, when you were talking to him?
Oh, it's just, again, just to be able to talk to him about the game that he had was, like I said, it's so funny. He's such a humble kid. Like the guy just sets records left, right, and center, and you wouldn't know it talking to him because he'll deflect. He's like, Cody was giving everybody the ball, and all these guys came together, and just talking about the atmosphere and everything. Like, he wanted to talk about everything but himself. I mean, like, what a great humble kid this guy is. I mean, there's just on another level. And we're talking also too about the fact that his twin brother Jalen, who plays for the Calgary Stampeders, he's back in action after missing last season due to injury, and kind of like Reggie White in the sense, he wasn't off the field that long compared to Reggie White, but getting back into action as well. And as a twin, obviously Tyson wants his brother to succeed. He wants his brother to do well also, and he was even giving him like shout outs during that game in Edmonton after making catches. Like, that was for you, Jalen. That was for you. And
Yeah.
I think Jalen too has got to be excited watching his bro doing his thing and just dominating, simply dominating when it comes to the national receiver position. Like, all this to say that come July 6th, when the Calgary Stampeders come into town to take on the Alouettes, it's going to be Philpott versus Philpott, and the whole family apparently is going to be in town for that as well. So get your popcorn ready, folks. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, exactly. Tyson Philpott. By the way, if you were watching Flight Deck Live, the numbers that I gave you were updated after the fact that we did the show. So I just want to, just in case if you're saying, well, Tim, you said something during Flight Deck Live, the league did, and I'm, props to the league, props to Steve Daniel, props to everybody who was doing this, but the league was able to update the final stats. I think it's within they had it updated the next morning. So props to them. So these numbers are the final stats that were issued by the league. So Tyson Philpott, Cliff did lead the team. He 8 receptions on 10 targets for 150 yards with 1 touchdown. KJG also 8 receptions, 10 targets, 116 yards. Also, talk about Reggie White Jr., 4 receptions, 5 targets for 61 yards and 2 touchdowns. And can't forget talking about the other guys. Walter Fletcher, 48 yards on 5 receptions. Actually, he had a perfect night, 5 for 5 when it comes to targets and receptions. Speaker had 7, Rambo had 2, and Shedler Ferbius had 1. But again, these 2 guys now, Cliff, as I said, they are in the thick of things currently after week 3 when it comes to the guys who are leading the CFL with receiving yards.
Yeah, and we're not just talking about national receivers here. We're talking about the entire league, like American receivers included. I mean, like the dearth of talent at receiver for the Alouettes is absolutely incredible. Like, you could argue that this is probably the best wide receiver room in the Canadian Football League, or at least one of. Every team's going to say that their receiver room is the best, but I mean, you look at that firepower that Montreal has when it comes to the receiver position, and yeah, it's up there. That's the thing, and the fact that as you said, 2 of the top 10 receivers are with the Alouettes, and they're also national players. I mean, that's just it still blows my mind. Like was it even like 5 years ago, the national receiver position was practically non-existent in Montreal, and now we have not 1 but 2 absolute studs at receiver. I mean, it's incredible. And Shedler Fervius, also a national receiver, he too, just like Charleston Rambo, his time's going to come. It's coming. There's no question in my mind that these 2 guys are going to, once they get the chance to get their feet underneath them, they're going to do some amazing things as well. I mean, Cody Fajardo, my God, he's got to be just licking his chops. He's just so excited. Like, he's going to throw the ball in the air, and he knows someone's going to come down with it. I mean, he didn't throw a pick last week. It's now 2 weeks in a row he hasn't thrown an interception.
Yeah,
I mean, wow, just wow. I mean, that's got to be so much fun for him. Like, he's got to be just beside himself with all this talent at his arsenal.
Yeah, Philpott is currently number 2 in the league with 340 yards. He's behind Alexander Hollis of the BC Lions, and KJG is at 235. He is currently 7th. So, and the names that are in here in the top 10, no slouches at all either, Cliff, because it's, as I said, if these guys can continue what they're doing, if they start getting, Reggie into the mix here. Can you imagine? I didn't get the stat, but I'm trying to remember the last time that there were 2 Alouettes national receivers 1-2 on a team. And it's one thing I didn't reach out to Steve Daniel about, but that's I just love just saying that 2 Canadians 1-2 on a team, over 100 yards in a single game.
Oh my! I mean, go back to Ben Cahoon, and that's about it when it comes to like national receiver. It feels like, as I said, for the longest time, it felt like, especially after Ben retired, like, it just felt like the national receiver position was just kind of an afterthought in Montreal.
Yeah.
Like, as much as they wanted to make it, as the Alouettes did draft some what I felt were some talented Canadians at the receiver position, but they just never got a chance. They never really got a chance. And again, when you got absolute studs like Jamel Richardson, S.J. Green, and so on, yeah, of course, you're fighting for the quarterback's attention. And even during those lean years for the Alouettes, same idea. Try to draft that next great Canadian superstar, and it just never worked out. And now here we are in the 2020s, and to be able to land an absolute stud like Tyson Philpott, to develop a Keon Julian Grant, who came on board once again, practice roster, special teams, just biding time, doing kick returns as well, like just waiting for that opportunity. And sure enough, he's got the right coach. He's got the right receivers coach. He's got like the right things have fallen into place for Keon Julian Grant to become the superstar we expected him to be when he was drafted here. And Tyson Philpott, again, he lives up to the hype in so many ways. It's absolutely incredible. And the fact that both these guys are here in Montreal, wow, just wow.
Yeah, and obviously they're obviously, if it weren't for other people with on this team itself, especially in the offense, these guys wouldn't be as good as they are. We have to talk about Cody Fajardo, and we talked about him, a little bit at the top of the show. But Cody, man, he's just continuing to roll. 28 to 35, 393 yards, just shy of that 400 mark, and 3 touchdowns. And as you stated already, Cliff, no interceptions. Oh, and by the way, Cliff, something else that we were talking about quite a bit last year over the first 7-8 games, whatever it is, not a single sack given up to Cody this week either.
I mean, that speaks to the development and the growth of this offensive line as well. To be able to give Cody the time and space to be able to make these jaw-dropping plays happen. And I'm still doing it, though. Every time Cody decides he goes through his reads, he doesn't like what he sees, he just tucks the ball and goes for a run. Like, I'm still cringing, like, oh my god, he's good. And then what happens? Like, he scampers down the field, he gets the first down, keeps moving the ball, and then as it waltzes in for the touchdown. I mean, it's just, my god, like, I keep joking about it. Like, Fajardo really is a Latin word for run for your freaking life, and that's exactly what he does.
Yeah, that should be a shirt. That should be a shirt. You're talking about Cody, by the way, we were joking about this on Flight Deck Live, is that once again, Cody led the team in rushing. Actually, no, correct. That was one of the corrections they made. Walter Fletcher did lead the team in rushing with 45 yards on 12 attempts. But Cody had the longest run of the game for the team. Cody did have 39 yards overall, Cliff, but he also had that 30-yard scamper.
Again, I'm at a loss for words. I mean, and again, it's only crazy if it doesn't work, right? I mean, I guess that's how you got to, and I'm pretty sure that's what Cody's thinking as well. I mean, obviously he'd much rather huck the ball to somebody and get them the yards and get those yaks. But, sometimes you just got to do, if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. I'm pretty sure that's what Cody's thinking. It's like, all right, nobody's open, everybody's getting covered. The hell with it. I'm gonna go for a little scamper. I'm gonna go for a little run. And what he does, I mean, it's crazy. Like, you're holding your breath, but at the same time, good things are going to happen. So, and that's just what Cody is. He's a leader. He makes outstanding plays happen. I mean, it's hilarious. Like, just how he has grown into this role here in Montreal. I mean, and it goes beyond winning the Grey Cup. I mean, he really has come into his own. And I'm sure a lot of Saskatchewan fans are still going, how is this possible? We had this guy. We had Jason Moss as a coach. What the hell? I mean, sometimes things just work out the way they do. I can't explain it. I really can't. But I mean, Cody has really become a renaissance man here in Montreal. Gets everybody excited. Gets fired up. You hear him on TV, like in the interviews, like he's just so excited. You see the passion, the fire inside of him, and it's so nice. It is so nice to be able to have a quarterback that can come in and be the man. And I still don't think feels that pressure. Like he's not living in that fishbowl like he was in Saskatchewan. Like, here in Montreal, they'll just let you do your job. And I think that works so well for somebody like Cody Fajardo. He's not expected to be the man. He's not expected to, carry the weight of the city on his shoulders. Just go out and play your game. Do your job. That's all people want. And just win games. And that's exactly what he's been doing.
Yeah. As it's been known for the Alouettes, they will take advantage of their running backs when it comes to on not only the running game but also out of the backfield, as we've seen with what we just stated recently about Walter Fletcher's numbers. What are your thoughts, Cliff, on how the Alouettes are using Fletch? I mean, obviously he didn't have as many yards as he had last week versus Edmonton, but he's still second in the league in rushing. Rushing is down, by the way, and I at least have to make this comment. Rushing right now is at its lowest point this early in the season in history, according to the game notes from Steve Daniel. If I'm reading that correctly, but what are your thoughts on how they're using Fletch? Because, as I said, Owls have had a great history, when it comes to using their running backs for both running and throwing them passes out of the backfield.
Yeah. What's interesting though is Walter Fletcher. I don't consider him to be a downhill runner. Like he's very much, he's all about the speed. I mean, he's not going to barrel you over. And I mean, I'm not seeing a whole lot of the pass protection when it comes to what you'd expect out of the running back in the Canadian Football League. I mean, Fletch can definitely, block. There's no question about that. It just feels like he's not expected to do so. Maybe it's because Cody's able to get the ball out so much quicker, and there's no sense of panic or anything like that. But when it comes to giving Fletch the ball, yeah, I mean, he could do great things. Whether it's catching the ball or running with the ball, he can do great things. It's just, it almost feels like almost an embarrassment of riches to have so many talented receivers that you almost forget, oh yeah, some pretty good running backs back in the backfield as well. I mean, I think the Alouettes are using Fletch as they need to. I mean, let's face it, like it won't be long now before Tyson Philpott is going to be constantly double teamed, like on every single play. Keon Julian Grant, same thing. I mean, you can't cover everybody, obviously, but I mean, those are the guys you're definitely going to be paying attention to. And sometimes you may have no choice, like Cody may have no choice but to use Fletcher as a check down receiver and move the chains that way. I mean, and then even though, yes, Fletcher is a running back primarily, he's got the speed, he's got the burst. So, I mean, if he catches the ball and he can go for a run.
As we saw versus Edmonton. Yeah.
Yep. Simply put, that was a great example right there of both his ability to catch and run. And we didn't see a whole lot of that against Ottawa, and we may see more of it against Toronto. But, I mean, running backs, yeah, you kind of mentioned it. It feels like it's a bit of a down year for running back so far. I know it's early, but I mean, yeah, the first 3 games, I haven't seen really any outstanding running plays aside from Fletch's second touchdown against Edmonton.
Yeah, and here's the actual side. I was right. So it's through 12 games in 2024, Cliff. The rushing yardage per game is just at 165 yards, the lowest in CFL history.
That's crazy. I mean, especially too, you got AJ Ouellette out in Saskatchewan. Like, I barely heard, well, this week notwithstanding, he'd been pretty quiet rushing wise.
And Brady Oliveira in Winnipeg has been hurt.
Yeah, he's been out of the lineup, and that's someone you expect to go off and pile up. Like, a lot of people are expecting another 2,000-yard season out of him. Like, well, I mean, if the way things are going right now, he might be tough. It might be tough for him to get that. William Stanback out in BC now too. Like, getting a few carries, he's doing his thing. He still looks like the William Stanback that we know and love. But
currently the leader in rushing. Yep.
But same thing though. Like, it still feels like, okay, yeah, we got William Stanback, but we've also got all these other great receivers in BC that Vernon's going to throw to. So, you just can't get those stats. You can't get those rushing yards like you used to. So it's, I guess, it's a little bit of tough sledding right now for the running backs. But maybe as the season goes on, and maybe as you see more games with more inclement weather, like maybe you're going to want to maybe go towards a ground and pound game, and in a case like that, that's where you want to have those receivers that can not only catch the ball but also too take it for a run, but just move things, keep the legs churning and keep trying to move the ball, move the chains as much as possible. So I think when it's all said and done, we're going to see better production out of the running backs. It's kind of weird though to see like the first 3 games of the season so far has just been kind of middling at best when it comes to the running back position.
We got before we talk about the defense because they deserve their own segment considering what they did this week. Again, just to touch a little bit, as I said, Cody was not sacked at all, and we had talked about it for the last 2 weeks, a potential issue that the Alouettes were going to have to deal with in order for the Alouettes O-line to get to do what they need to do and to keep Cody upright. At least for 1 week, it seems number 65 was able to do what he needed to do this, and he played an amazing game.
He really did. And even talking with offensive line coach Luc Brodeur-Jourdain after the match, I said to him, like, talk to us about Josh Donovan, man, because he's had his struggles, but I mean, like, the last 2 games, he said, you have not seen anything yet. That the potential this guy has is otherworldly. Like, you give him a couple more games, he is going to be a superstar in this league. I'm like, okay, if Luc says that, then I will take that to the bank. And again, we saw it against Edmonton, that outstanding pancake block to let Fletcher score his second touchdown. A couple other instances too where he just looked absolutely sensational. Like there was no getting past him. That was just great. As we talked about, Cody Fajardo not sacked at all, and that's with your blind side. You got a rookie at the blindside position, basically guarding Cody, keeping Cody upright. I mean, that's what you want. And for young Donovan to come and, I think he's starting to come into his own. And if Luc Brodeur-Jourdain is saying, listen, this guy's going to be a superstar, give him time, be patient. It's going to come. Okay, then that's all I need to hear. And yeah, you look at the other guys on this offensive line, and I mean, they're all extremely talented. Like they're on another level, and they all have Grey Cup championship experience. For Donovan to come in and slot in with these guys, I'm sure it's going to be a daunting task, but clearly he's up for it. And yeah, there's going to be bumps and growing pains along the way, and I think we've seen that already. But I definitely like it's still early, but I definitely like the progression we've seen over the past 2 games. And again, it's just got to keep going. He's just got to keep maintaining that, and I think as long as he's got the coaching, he's got the the guys that are going to take him under their wing, and really make him into that superstar that we expect him to be now. The sky's the limit for Josh Donovan, and couldn't have come at a better time.
Obviously, if it was, without the offense, we wouldn't be scoring, but also if it wasn't for the defense, they wouldn't be setting up this team in order to score. And Cliff, what can we say this week? I mean, all these guys seem to be stepping up every week. It's a different guy usually every week, but this week alone, Ty Beverett, I don't know if they're going to be, if the CFL is currently giving out the defensive player of the week award, but man, considering what he did versus Ottawa, he should get it.
Oh, my God, he had a game last week, and we talked about setting the tone, like Cody Fajardo setting the tone right away with that first drive. Well, when Ottawa took the field for their first offensive series, it lasted 1 play.
Yeah. Yep.
Essentially, Drew Brown threw a pass, a little tip drill that ended up in the hands of Tyrese Beverett, and it just started from there. And he damn near scored a pick 6 off of that. My God! But here, you want to talk numbers for Tyrese Beverett? 6 tackles, 1 sack, the INT that I just told you about, which netted 37 yards, a forced fumble, a tackle for a loss. I mean, my God, like.
And didn't he also have a fumble recovery too?
Well, he forced fumble, but no, I don't believe I don't think he recovered that.
Okay.
But my God, I mean, you talk about a leader. I mean, and this guy has just been sensational ever since he came over from Hamilton. And I can't help but laugh. What is it with former Hamilton Tiger Cats coming to the Alouettes and blossoming? It started with Anthony Calvillo. And now we got Tyrese Beverett, who comes over here and just lights the world on fire defensively for this team. It's so incredible. I mean, we've joked about you can't forget the Bev. Never, never, never.
No. And Al's had 3 sacks this week. One went to Bev. One went to Isaac Ademi Berglund, and the other one went to Mustafa Johnson. So I mean, they're making it very well known, and obviously it's going to be obviously a huge test coming up this week, as we'll talk about a little bit later when it comes up against the Toronto Argonauts. I mean, even though Cliff, even though Ottawa had over 300 yards of offense, obviously the score does not really it doesn't say it at all, But the defense defense and offense just really did dominate this game.
Yeah, and you just saw it just swarming, absolutely swarming. I mean, Drew Brown, he looked good against Nepeg at their home opener at TD Place. Got the job, got the win, but I mean, Montreal definitely humbled him. I mean, there's no question about that. This defense, they just came for him. They were out for blood. Like, that's just the impression you saw just in the way they played. It was just absolutely sensational. They just kept coming in just in droves even. I mean, try as he could, like just trying to make plays happen. It was easier said than done. And yes, Ottawa did manage to get on the board finally and get a couple of points, but yeah, it was a long night for Drew Brown. There's no question about that. I mean, and Mustafa Johnson just, aside from that penalty, which, not a great one to take, but I mean, listen, it happens. I think he just wanted to play without a shirt on, I think just clouded his judgment a little bit. These things happen, but
there you go. He just needs to be careful. You don't want to kill the center. You don't want to kill the center on the on a field goal attempt, which is very, very close to what he did.
No, and if you're going to kill a man, we got to see a blueprint of that thanks to Darnell Sankey.
I finally saw the hit too on TV.
That was otherworldly. Like my God, and we joked about it with him after the game. Like I think it was Jalen Ackland that he basically pulverized.
Yeah.
I said, listen, you're going to have to go into hiding, man. I mean, we saw you kill that man. I mean, I don't know. We'll get you into witness protection or something. We'll just lay low, find a safe house, something. But
yeah,
I mean, you just tore that man in half. He was just loving every second of it, and that does my heart good. I mean, someone who wants to be here, somebody who wants to play at another level, and that's exactly what Darnell Sankey brings to this defense. He's just been, since he's gotten here. Mm-hmm. First of all, the Alouettes haven't lost since he started playing, and it's just
one loss.
Okay, yes, there was one loss, but
first game, yeah, but still, and that's what I was about to get to. So with the win, the Alouettes are now 3-0. Cliff, they do lead the Eastern Division. With the win, Cliff, the Alouettes have set a franchise record for consecutive wins over 2 seasons, including a postseason with 11. The previous record was 10 from the team from 1949 to 1950. So that's an old record broken. The team has also tied the 2002 franchise record for longest regular season winning streak at 8. That has been done, I said, in 2002, but it's also been done a couple of times also in the team history. But still, it just watching today's, and I know we'll talk about our experience at the home opener, then we've got to talk about a little bit of news, and then the preview for the game this week. I mean, just watching the presser from today's from today's practice, and it seems that Coach Moss he's centering on he's centering his mind on the right things, which is the next game. As we heard from a player, I don't remember who it was post game. We're going 1-0. It doesn't matter what our record is. We want to go 1-0 every week. Mm-hmm. But even Coach Moss, it's first time, as I just mentioned with the records and stuff like that. He goes, oh, that's the first time I've been told about it or I've heard about it. But that's nice to hear. But we're looking forward to Toronto. We're not looking past Toronto. Again, we want to go 1-0, and I think that's the thing that I love hearing from the coaching staff is that Coach Moss is a very unique gentleman. Obviously, we can get frustrated when it comes to not hearing who's hurt. Sometimes we have to speak with some players after the fact to get something off the record type of thing. But it's just something I love to hear when it comes to their center. The team is looking at the next game in the right way. They're not looking at, it's a record. It's the next way to become 1-0.
Yeah, I think it was a wise person that once said, stats are nice, but winning's nicer. And I think Coach Moss lives by that credo. because again, it sounds to me like just based on off of that, like he could give a toss about records and these sort of accomplishments. Like they're nice, that's cool. I guess that's good to have. But did we go 1-0 this week? That seems to be that's his laser focus right there, is just making sure that this team goes 1-0 each and every week. And that has to be the goal. That really truly has to be the goal, whether you're a player, whether you're a coach, whether you're the water boy. Doesn't matter who you are on this team. That has to be your goal, is who are you playing this week and will you go 1-0 against them? That's got to be the goal. And clearly Coach Moss, that's all he's focused on. Like, I mean, all these extracurriculars, all these stats, all this stuff, it's nice, it's cool, sure, whatever, but no, the winning's the thing. And that's the thing. Like he brings it. Like you hear the post-game speeches too. He talks about how proud they are to represent the city of Montreal, the province of Quebec, the 425. Like this is something that he just beats into them over and over and again. Like he makes it extremely clear how important it is to be the best version of you. And it comes through each and every week with these guys, offensively, defensively, special teams. Everybody has a role to play. Everybody has a job to do, and everybody is doing that to the best of their ability. And Coach Moss, simply put, he's bringing out the best in each and every member of this team. And again, if he's going to put his name to it, he wants it to be the best, and you cannot fault him for that. And I think that's exactly how Coach Moss approaches this each and every week, is what am I doing to make the best possible effort? What am I doing to make sure that this team does go 1-0 this week? And I love it. I absolutely love the fact that he is like that. He's, as you said, a very unique individual, sometimes not so forthcoming with certain news and tidbits and what have you, but when he talks, you better frickin' listen, because he will make himself heard.
Yeah, exactly. And exactly what he did. If you want to go back in our archive to the interview that we had with Coach Moss, he was just that. He wasn't a complete open book, but he was very engaging quite a bit. Give me some thoughts, Cliff. You have some final thoughts on the game or the home opener, or some things that you're specifically going to take away from this match for being at Percival Molson for the first time in 2024 with Alouettes Nation.
We talked to quite a few players post-game, and the one question I asked them was just being at field level. How was it? How did you find the crowd? How did you find the atmosphere? And every single person had said the exact same thing. It was amazing. It was like nothing I'd ever seen here before. It was electric. Like, I mean, there's so many adjectives and superlatives to be used to describe what they saw Thursday night, but I can just imagine them on the field, looking around, hearing the noise, the constant noise on defense, the cheering, the applause, people jacked up to be there at a football game, and they feed off that energy. They love it. That's what motivates them to go that 1-0 every week, is to go out there and perform for the fans. And if that's what they were looking for, they definitely got it in spades. I mean, they got the energy, they got everything, and they were loving every second of it. So essentially now it's now on the fans to bring it for the next game, the next home game, and every other home game, to make sure, can we get 20,000 for the next home game? I sure hope so. Can we get 20,000 for the next game after that? And so on and so forth. Yeah, that should be the goal. I mean, you've got a championship football team that, guess what? They're pretty freaking good. Maybe you should be supporting a team like this, like that. And these guys are coming to play each and every week. That's the goal. That's what you want out of your football team. You want to support a winning football team. Well, there you go. There's one right here in Montreal. You can go and buy tickets and support them, simply put. And they feed off it. They love it. And it does my heart good to see this team so jacked, so excited, and so passionate to come out and play for these fans. What will be like, at least we've got another 8 games to go at home. Can't wait. Yeah. Cannot wait.
For me, I'm sure it was the atmosphere was just absolutely amazing. We got everything that we had hoped to get within the game itself. Obviously the night started with the banner being dropped, the flyover, which for me, by the way, for the very first time, I was waiting for the rumble to be a little bit more body shaking than normal. I don't know what it was, but it looks like. Are you agreeing with me?
Yeah, no, I mean, we saw the planes fly over, but it didn't have that same. That sonic boom wasn't there, like that whoosh that just makes you want to run through a wall. Like
Yeah.
it was just kind of like boom, like oh, okay, yeah, all right. So like it
Yeah,
was
but
cool. I
yeah,
mean, don't get me wrong. It's always cool when they do that, but I know what you were looking for that same feeling, that same adrenaline rush, just
yeah,
as they were about to kick off. Like you want that, and it just kind of fell short of the mark, unfortunately. I mean,
yeah, yeah. But yeah,
hopefully when they hopefully they'll be doing another one later this year and get a little bit closer to the stadium and just turn on the afterburners. That's what it comes down to. You want that
yeah.
noise. You want everybody getting hyped as a result of this.
Let's get a clear day on Thanksgiving for the Thanksgiving Day Classic. How about that? How
I
about
I
that?
will I will not say no to that at all. In
Yeah.
fact, I support that wholeheartedly.
Yes. For me, it was everything, from the new video board to to just the win itself. But for me specifically, I think it was being able to see the fans that came into Percival Molson from the season ticket holders that live in New Hampshire. And no, folks, I am not kidding. Season ticket holders that live in New Hampshire. You had you had a friend of ours who comes in yearly from Baltimore. You know, that just seeing those guys alone, that made the game really stand out to me the most, because we were all there to be able to support the Alouettes in the way that we do, and it was just so much fun. And again, like you said, I am really hoping that this will continue and we'll get 20,000 more over at Percival Molson for the next game versus Calgary. So
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people were there for the first time and they were treated to a spectacle, an absolute spectacle. And I'm hoping, based off that, they say to themselves like, "Okay, yeah, this was fun. This was really cool. If this is what's going to be like for the next game, hell yeah, I'm going to go buy tickets for it. I'll be there for the next one and the one after that and so on." I really hope that, just based off of the performance that the team gave last Thursday, and with all the extracurriculars that were going on as a part of it, I hope that's enough to encourage fans to give this team another chance if they haven't already. Like just to go out and come back to another game and another, and that's how you build that fandom. That's how you build that relationship, and eventually people will jump on board and become season ticket holders. You just got to keep giving them a reason to come and cheer. And I'll tell you what, any fans that had never been to a game before, as soon as the public announcer said to light up the stadium and the fireflies came out,
yeah,
holy crap. I mean, we've seen that before. And the very first time we saw that was in 2019, and it was pretty cool. I mean, and we didn't have 23,000 fans in the stands for that game, but you still
yeah,
saw quite a bit. Like the fans turn on their cell phone lights, and it was pretty awesome. But I dare say just about everybody at Percival Molson Stadium last Thursday put on their cell phone lights and were waving them around, and you really saw it. It was like, holy crap. Like that's got to be like, I can just imagine the players must be like, my God, like this is insane. This is unreal. I mean, it just has that kind of effect, and just everything was clicking when it came to the game day experience. I mean, everything was just outstanding. I'll be honest, the halftime show didn't really do anything for me, just because it felt. I guess I didn't really have expectations for Kine, to tell you
yeah.
the truth, because they have played at Percival Molson Stadium. Like they played at a halftime for the Alouettes before, and it was okay. And I get that a lot of people like them, but it just, as after Our Lady Peace, and I hate to beat this point down, but after Our Lady Peace, this really does feel like a step down. And
Actually, I hate to tell you, Joshua 2 also was a hell of a lot better.
but again, like for the home opener, for everything that was going on, you had to hit a home run, and Kine did a fine job from what I was able to hear. Because I mean, I truthfully, I spent my halftime going and getting myself one of these. So,
There you go.
because my name's in it.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I mean, people that saw that, it looked like people really enjoyed the show for the most part. And if you enjoyed the show, great. I'm happy for you. I'm glad you got to see it. I'm glad you got to enjoy it. But the atmosphere, everything that went on at Percival Molson Stadium last Thursday was second to none. And I mean, everything was on point. I don't think there was any bad spots. I don't think there was anything kind of cringy as far as, oh, don't do that.
No.
Geez. Like
It went well. It went well, I will admit. And Despite the weather, it was nice and warm. It still cooled off nicely. And by the way, you were talking about how people, if you've been to the game before, you haven't been to a game before, you have to get to the next one. Well, what better way in order to get to the next one is to try and win our pair of SportBuff flight crew seats, which we are giving away for the game versus the Calgary Stampeders. All you have to do is head over to our socials and just tell us why you want to go and who you want to go with, and we'll be choosing the winner, and that's on all of our socials, by the way, specifically Facebook and on Twitter. But you will be able to, and we'll make the choice next Tuesday, and you'll have your own pair of tickets to go see the Calgary Stampeders against the Alouettes. So, but besides that, also, if you're heading over there to check that out, we, as you know now, we are on social media. All you have to do is check us out over on X, and that's at Alouettes FL Deck. You can check us out on Facebook, and that is at Alouettes Flightdeck Pod. Over on Instagram and YouTube over at Alouettes Flightdeck. Speaking of YouTube, do not forget that you have all of our audio versions, you have our video versions of the podcast, and you also have Flightdeck Live, our companion show, which is done every week, post game for every game for the Alouettes this season. And by the way, if you happen to miss it this week, you still can go back and watch it, because once again, who would have thought we got photobombed again? And hey, again, as Cliff has said, I think as Cliff has said over the past couple of weeks, anything can happen when we are live. And oh, by the way, what happened this week? Well, you may have to go, but I'm just going to give you a little hint. How about the Quad Chagnon? That's all I'm going to say to you. Make sure you go and you watched and check out this past week's episode, the last episode of Flightdeck Live. So, also, our archive is over at the AlouettesFlightdeck.ca, including all of our links. And if you're looking to rep some merch for the next home game or for when you go on vacation, whatever it may be, because we know we got a couple of shots up, by the way, for our We the One championship t-shirts that we made. Head over to flightdeckgear.ca and grab your own.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I have to say, just the entire night in general, from start to finish, like from the minute we walked into Percival Most Stadium to when we eventually left, because we stayed late and did the Flightdeck Live and all that stuff. And finally, as we were walking out, it was just from start to finish, such an incredible evening, such a great experience. And if you were there, I hope you had that same experience that we did. I hope you enjoyed things just as much as we did. And I really do hope, if this was your first game, I hope this prompted you to want to come check out it again. Maybe not necessarily the next game, maybe it doesn't fit with your schedule, but the game after, or there's more games to attend. And I hope you do. I really hope you do, because this team is definitely putting out a very entertaining product. You are definitely going to get your money's worth wherever it is that you're going to be sitting and watching and taking in all of this from start to finish. I mean, it is just an absolutely electric atmosphere at Percival Molson Stadium. This team is a championship team. I think there's no two ways about it. They came, they showed up, they showed out, they put in an absolutely phenomenal performance against the Ottawa Red Blacks, and it's still going. We're going to keep this party going. That's really what it comes down to, is just keep it going. Make sure that fans do come out for the next game, and so on and so forth. But once again, you got to win. You got to keep on winning. The Alouettes this year haven't tasted defeat, other than the preseason game, of course, which doesn't count in the standings. But this is a winning football team, folks. If you're not on board now, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's just simply put, this team is built to win, and that's exactly what they've been doing.
Yeah, exactly. A couple of news before we talk about the game this week against the Toronto Argonauts. The fan bus is back for the September 21st game versus the Ottawa Red Blacks. And by the way, if people remember, I was talking about it a couple of weeks ago, this is also one of the games that is going to be broadcast nationally across Canada, not only on TSN and RDS, but also the CFL on CTV. So why not go ahead and join your fellow Alouette fans in Ottawa? I think it is available on the Alouettes website where you can go and sign up. I know seats are limited, Cliff, but they've been pretty good at keeping these prices very reasonable for fans. Includes transportation, pre-game experience, game ticket, and field access post-game. you can't beat it for $109.
That's
Can't
pretty
beat that.
good.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you know how expensive tickets can be. You know how expensive gas can be. So I mean, like to go from Montreal to Ottawa and back, ticket to the game, as you talked about the pre and post game experience on the field at TD Place. I mean, wow. I mean, that's phenomenal, and to be able to keep it at what I feel is a very reasonable price, that's outstanding. And you know what? If this bus gets sold, maybe they add another one. And if that one gets sold, I mean, could you imagine like getting like 200, 300, 400 fans coming in from Montreal to Ottawa's TD Place to watch the Alouettes play? I mean, listen, we've talked about the woes that the Red Blacks have had over the past few years, and I'm not saying that's necessarily going to happen again this year, but I mean, Alouettes Nation has to show up and show out too. I mean, simply put, this team is entertaining as hell to watch. And if you have a chance to go on the road and see how the other half lives, so to speak, I say do it. I say go out, experience as many stadiums as you can, because I mean, there is nothing like Canadian Football League. There is nothing like that experience, especially on the road too. Like going and support the Alouettes on the road is such a treat. It's so much fun. And Ottawa is a great place as well. I mean, they do it up proper there. So yeah, if you haven't already, folks, get on that bus and listen. If you can get like 2-3 buses worth of fans going to TD Place, that's pretty awesome. That's a win all day long. And don't think the team isn't going to notice or appreciate that as well.
Yeah, exactly. Alouettes head to BMO Field for the first time since the Eastern Final. But coming into this game, Cliff, very interesting. Both these two teams are undefeated. This is for the first time, Cliff, since 1997 that both Toronto and Montreal have each started with at least a 2-0 record. And another take on early seasons meetings between these two teams, Cliff. They're combined 5-0 when playing each other this week. The last time that they played a game with each undefeated, they played a game with each undefeated was in 1973 when each team was 2-0. Mm-hmm. So, but the big thing about this, by the way, Cliff, between these two teams, and it's something I didn't mention before because I felt it's better suited for when we did the preview. Coming into this game, Cliff, would you believe now Cody Fajardo has now overtaken Trevor Harris as the CFL's all-time leader in completion percentage? Even though it's by a couple of percent, even though you have to do it to the 1,000th place, he still leads Cody at 70.616%. Cody leads Trevor at 6.61% for the all-time completion percentage in CFL history. So hey, what do you see coming into this? Obviously, this is a different Toronto team from the division, from the Eastern Final, but this is also a team that has, and I think we talked about it in preseason also, but this is a team that it really is not the same team that we played last year. There have been some changes, obviously, when it comes to coaches exoduses, player exoduses, players who can't play, players have been suspended. What do the Alouettes need to look forward to in this team when they play against them this Friday at BMO?
They cannot go into this game thinking that they're going to play that same team they played back in November of 2023, where they essentially punched them in the mouth en route to going to the Grey Cup. Not the same team. I mean, same logo, same colors, but there's a lot of changes within that Toronto Argonauts organization. And I'll even argue, even though it's early, they've only played 2 games versus the Alouettes playing 3, but they've looked very decisive. They've looked like a well-oiled machine. Cameron Dukes stepping in for Chad Kelly as quarterback. A lot of people weren't sure what to make of that. Tell you what, they're not missing a step. I think Cameron Dukes is definitely very comfortable in this offense. He's definitely shown that he's not afraid to take those chances and move the ball downfield. He's finding his receivers. He's doing the thing, simply put. And for a lot of people, were probably expecting Toronto to just roll over and die with Chad Kelly not participating in the first at least 9 games of this season. But truthfully, I mean, Cameron Dukes looks like he's very much a part of this, and he doesn't not look out of place at all. A lot of, as you said, a lot of players did leave in free agency and such. A lot of players too banged up and on the 6-game injured list. They just keep on going. Like their depth, I have to say, is top notch. I mean, I'm sitting there like, wow, just wow. I mean, now mind you, the 2 games they played against BC and Edmonton have been very tightly contested affairs for the most part, but once these guys get going, they just don't stop. I mean, I think that's going to be a very good test for Montreal's defense is how are they going to shut down Cameron Dukes and this high power offense that they've got. I mean, I think it's going to be a great test for, Noel Thorpe's defense to dominate. And I'm sure they're going to want to try and set the tone early, just like they did against Ottawa and Edmonton and even Winnipeg. They're going to want to do things, they're going to want to get in their face and make some noise. But, this Toronto team is clearly not going to roll over and die. So, I mean, I think this is going to be a very tightly contested affair. I think Cody's going to be looking forward to the opportunity to come in and prove that it wasn't a fluke last November. Even though it's not the same team for the most part, in his mind it is. And he just wants to go and he wants to keep playing the game that he's been playing over the past 3 weeks. He just wants to go in there and dominate. He wants to go and make plays happen, and I know he's going to. I mean, this has all the makings to be a shootout, to tell you the truth. I think as good defensively as both these teams are, I definitely think a lot of points are going to be put on the board, and we could truly see this game being settled by a field goal even.
Gee, does that sound familiar for Toronto last week?
Yep.
It could be that type of game. I mean, this is the team, Cliff, that came into the East Final last year being a 10.5 point underdog. The Owls are coming into this game as a 3.5 point favorite.
Yeah. And it's funny because usually like 3 points, that's like the hometown bump. And that would almost make this a pick 'em if you were to apply that logic. But
yeah,
no, I mean, yeah, like again, Toronto is simply put, Toronto isn't going to roll over and die. I mean, the East has gotten better this year by and large. I mean, Montreal, as far as I'm concerned, still the class of the East. Toronto, not very far behind. Ottawa, once they find their way, I think are going to be very competitive as well. Hamilton, they got some work to do. We'll just leave it at that. But Toronto, I think, is going to give Montreal a lot of fits. I definitely think this will be a very tightly contested affair. And I just want to see the Alouettes just keep doing what they've been doing because it's working. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think Montreal, they go in there and they work their plan like they've been doing against, the past 3 weeks. There's no reason why this team can't go 4-0. But, it's not a given by any stretch of the imagination. This game is not a gimme by any means. But at least you don't have that sort of specter hanging overhead like, oh, you can't win at BMO Field. You can't beat this team. And there's none of that.
Yeah, I agree with you. It will be a very interesting game to say the least because, as I said, I think it's how the team is going to start, and I would love to see them. Obviously, I loved with the air attack that they have, but I'm curious to see what Fletch is able to do on the grass. So I'm very curious to see what Fletch's role is going to be in this game for the Alouettes on Friday. Also, the depth charts aren't out as of we are taping, so make sure you stay tuned to our socials because we'll find out who will be where. I don't see there being many changes because I know we saw this week. Probably the only person who won't be playing is Regis Sivasu, but again, stay tuned to our socials for the depth chart. But again, it's just a matter of staying the course, Cliff, and again, as you said, you're reminding yourself that this is not the Eastern Final. This is not the same team, and this is a team that is being led, by a different quarterback.
Yeah, and I think Toronto realizes that too. That this is not the same Alouettes team that denied them the chance to go and repeat as Grey Cup champions. And it's not a gimme also too that the Alouettes are coming in, and just because the game's at BMO Field, it's an automatic W. They know they're going to have to work for this as well. I'm excited. I'm truly excited because I think this will be such a fun match. Like I definitely see this being like a heavyweight bout. We go back to that first game last year, the Argos and Alouettes played at Percival Molson Stadium. You remember like that too was just like a heavyweight contest, like just haymakers back and forth. Like Toronto did something, Montreal responded back and forth, and it really did come down to like the last series where that game was won. And I truly would not be surprised to see a repeat of that. I don't think we're going to get that same, nonsense game that we had last year in like September of 2023, like the last time the Alouettes lost a game.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, sorry, the second to last time the Alouettes lost a game, I should say.
Right.
Last time they lost a road game, I guess. But yeah, all this to say that I think Montreal and Toronto will be a very entertaining game to watch. And folks, if you're in the Toronto area, if you're on vacation watching this and you just happen to be in the GTA, by all means, go to BMO Field. It's a great place to watch football. I'm sure tickets are available. The tailgate scene is absolutely fantastic. I mean, if you have a chance to go and be a part of it, I say you do. Go support your Alouettes on the road. Show up, show out, show the love. I tell you what, you will be entertained on Friday. I can pretty well guarantee that you will be entertained on Friday.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it should be a good game itself. But stay tuned, by the way, for Flightdeck Live post game that will be occurring after the clock hits 0 at BMO on Friday. So approximately 10:30-ish, 10:45-ish. But stay tuned to all of our socials as we'll let you know when we're going to go live. And
if you haven't already, hit the notification bell, especially if you're watching on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're a part of this. Following us on social media as well, like Facebook Live, X. We go live on that as well with Flightdeck Live. Make sure, again, you're subscribed, you're following, however it is. Make sure you're a part of this because we want you to be a part of this. And you'll get that notification right away. Oh, yeah, Flightdeck Live is happening. Make sure you tuned in. So, again, I say it every week, but please make sure you are tuned in. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe, especially on YouTube. Make sure you're a part of this. We want you to be a part of this, and we want you to interact with us and let us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, and just be a part of this be part of the flight crew, shall we say.
Yeah, exactly. Be a part of the be a part of the flight crew. Perfect analogy. Great analogy. Perfect. Yeah. So again, we'll see you on Flightdeck Live after the game. If not, we will see you next Wednesday for the next show. It'll be a little weird. I'll be in a different location, but I'm still going to be doing the show. I'll be here for you, the fans, as we talk about everything about the Alouettes and their game versus the Toronto Argonauts. So for everybody here at the Alouettes Flight Deck, for Cliffy D, I'm Tim Capper. We're on Final Approach.